with 2 whites and 1 black. So anybody that talks about white folks haven't helped out, think about Michael Swaney, Andrew Goodman, and Cheney. 1 black, 2 white. Viola Luetzo, white female, Italian. Destroyed, killed by a Klansman. I know his name, Collie Leroy Wilkins. I wish I could spend 15 minutes with him in hand-to-hand combat. That's the aggressive part of me that I had to suppress when I was at Yale. One of the examples that I love in the scripture is Nehemiah. And my father taught me about Nehemiah. Nehemiah was so distraught when he heard about the dismal state of his community back home that he asked the king, Artaxerxes, for the right to go back and help his people. In fact, he was so distraught that he cried. And I cried many times in speeches, in conversations with my own son, and in conversations with all of the young people that I've had the good fortune to work with. And so I would like to just revisit Nehemiah for a bit and try to bring this thing to a conclusion. In the scripture it says that in the month of Kislev, in the 20th year, while I was in the citadel of Susa, Hanani, one of my brothers, came from Judah with some other men. And I questioned them about the Jewish remnant that had survived the exile and also about Jerusalem. That's the conversation that Attorney Mosley and Mr. Poole and I had at a Chili's. The same thing that Nehemiah said, that things are not going well back home. The people are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates have been burned with fire. When I heard these things, I sat down and I wept.
Thank you.
Then I said to them, you see the trouble we're in. Jerusalem lies in ruins, and its gates have been burned with fire. Come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, and we will no longer be in disgrace. We're in disgrace now. He told you the statistics. 47% of black boys in urban communities don't finish high school. I have young men that I talk to that think they keep score of the number of girls they seduce. They think that having holes in different area codes is a good song. They don't know anything about people get ready because we haven't taught them. They don't know anything about we're a winner, and never let anybody say that we can't make it because a feeble mind is in our way. No more tears we will cry for, we finally dried our eyes. We're moving on up. Lord have mercy. We're moving on up. They don't know anything about that. It's because we haven't taught them. And so Nehemiah said, I also told them about the gracious hand of my God on me and what the king had said to me. And he was allowed to go back to Jerusalem and organize people to rebuild the wall, not only to build the wall, but rebuild the social infrastructure. And I hope when you preach that, Reverend Blue, that you help them understand it wasn't just a physical movement, it was a social and cultural movement, because he had to get people back on the right path. And if he were around today, he'd have to say, young ladies, you're not hoochies. You ladies, young boys, you weren't born to beat each other down and to shoot each other and to stab somebody and say, and I quote, I poked them real good. That's a young colored of mine was killed in New Haven. Go on the internet, look up Bambaataa Carr. And you'll see that the boy that killed him said, I poked him real good. Son, that's a Cain and Abel move. And instead of lifting each other up, you're tearing each other down. the Klan has nothing to worry about. They can leave the planet and let us destroy ourselves. And so it's really important for us to understand that. And so Nehemiah went back and he rebuilt the wall and he helped rebuild the culture and the infrastructure. But he had a lot of criticism and even fear of death in the process. Now, we don't particularly live in that time. Dr. King lived at a time when every single night of his life, he had to worry about being blown apart. I knew his daughter, Yolanda, well. And I also knew Reverend Abernathy. I have a film of him. He used to come to my school every year. And he used to say, Brother Joyner, the children were so orderly. And I'll never forget that voice. And it just encouraged me to make them even more orderly. Because you cannot learn in a chaotic environment. You cannot. And we can't have our boys pull up their pants. How are we going to teach them to read? I mean, if you let kids walk into school without books and with their pants hanging off their behinds, calling each other the N-word, then how are you going to teach them to read? So I know you don't do that because I've been at High. But Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and all those folks, they lived under mortal pressure every night. And I'll never forget when I saw Emmett Till in Jet magazine. I'll never forget when I saw those four little girls that were bombed in Birmingham. And I still have not forgiven a particular Secretary of State. I won't name her. I will not name her, but she was the first black Secretary of State. She works at Stanford University, and she likes football and basketball. And she mistakenly referred to Bush once as her husband.
Yes, she did.
But I don't want to make this a negative statement. She did achieve, God bless her. But it's very hard for me to see that somebody will come out of that city and not take a public position and not try to do what you've done for little girls, particularly when she knew some of those children. She ought to be leading the country and trying to mobilize these little black girls and these little brown girls and these little poor white girls into ladies that can take their respectful place in society. So the last person I want to talk about is Esther. And all I need to do is let you know that Esther put her life on the line for her people. And the most famous thing is that when she sent this reply to Mordecai, she said, "Go together all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my attendants will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." That's the kind of courage that Maurice Mosley has. That's the kind of courage that Reverend Granville has. That's the kind of courage that Jay Cummings has. That's the kind of courage that Kenny Jackson and Walt Luckett and everybody in this room who put themselves on the line every day to try to make life better for these children. And we can certainly learn from Esther. Now what I've done, and I'll try to end this, the village concept really captures the type of organization and coordination that we need in order to be successful. But I believe that we need to give our children something specific to look to. And I'm working on this, I guess you would call it a conceptual framework, a way of young children looking at themselves to determine if they're on the right path. And I call it active. You want to be an active student. The A stands for attitude, appearance, and attention. Clearly, the world sees you very differently, especially if you're black or brown, if you're dressed a certain way. And so when you see all these young men around here dressed neatly, and especially a 5th grader on with a suit and a shirt and tie, you can't beat that with a stick. I mean, that is powerful. That is powerful. And so we want to put thug wear out of business. I mean, what does a do-rag do? If one of these young men can tell me what a do-rag does, then we can call it a do-rag. But it's really a don't rag. Don't wear it out of the house once you know you have enough waves to go out in public. Clearly, attitude. When you go to school with the right attitude. That means that you have books, pen, paper. There's so many kids that'll bring the iPod and the cell phone, but they leave the book and the textbook home. You have to learn beyond the school. You have to have a library card. You should read all the time. The most dangerous person in the world is a person who reads. And if it's a poor person who grew up on the streets and you know that side and you read, then you're double dangerous. If you put on a suit, and if you do what? Now here's an example. Gang leader. Then he becomes a hornet, and he's been stinging ever since. Ever since. Now look at this. Blue pinstripe suit, tie bar, red power top, pocket square, gold watch. Clean it as, I can't say this lazy, clean it as go to hell. There's another one that the guys wear, y'all know about that little dog. Attention. I see so many classrooms where the kids are doing everything but paying attention. The C stands for cooperation, courage, and commitment. You cannot learn unless you cooperate with the teacher. Parents, please tell the other parents that has to happen. And attention, wake up there, kid. Wake up, son, pay attention. All right, there you go. Courage and commitment. It takes courage to be a black kid today, especially a male, because you walk through a minefield every day to go to school. Then you walk through another minefield to come back. So you can't do what the thugs do. And if you need help, I got a big brother, little brother back there that can help you, Kenny Jackson. He was a phenomenal athlete and still is, probably bench about 700 pounds. I can do a little bit myself, but I'm a little older. T, task orientation. You have to work. Tact. You have to learn how to react to people, and tenacity. You didn't get to be who you are if you weren't tenacious. The I stands for intentionality. Be very intentional about your life. It stands for intensity. If your competition works 2 hours a day to learn, you better work 4. Because if they can criticize the president and challenge where he was born, and challenge whether or not he had the grades to get into Occidental, Columbia, and Harvard, they can challenge you. And the person challenging him was born with a silver spoon up in his mouth. Can't even do his own hair. Been married 3 times. Now Obama's been married to the same woman. None of his daughters got pregnant. I'm not talking about Sarah Palin. None of his daughters got pregnant. He was the first black editor of the Harvard Law Review, and he's now the president of the United States. So if they can criticize him, now my grandmother said they talked about Jesus, so son, don't get angry when they talk about you. Because all he did was heal the sick, raise the dead, feed the hungry, and clothe the naked. So I can handle that. I have some armor. The V stands for verbal proficiency. You know, one of the reasons Obama won the election is because he can bring it. Yeah. And all you have to do is look to a well-educated black minister for a model of verbal proficiency. Now, I have an uncle that's a storefront preacher. He would say storefront. Oh, yeah. And I have nothing against my uncle, but I would not have wanted him to give the I Have a Dream speech. I could have seen him now, I got a dream! Dad, you know, that's okay when we're talking among ourselves. But you can't play with God's word, and you have to study it and learn it. You can't just be walking down the street one day like Rich Pryor said that God called him. You can't do that. You cannot do that. You have to go to school. Am I right, Reverend? You have to go to school. I mean, why would you have to go to school for everything else, but then when it comes to somebody's soul, you don't? Okay, so I know I might have stepped on some toes, but like Red Fox said, if I did, I could care less. The other V stands for victory, and the E stands for energy, endurance, and enthusiasm. One of the reasons that Walt Luckett was not only a great basketball player, but a great man, is because he put as much time, he put more time into studying than he did basketball. And I'm telling you right now, you got all these kids wondering why we don't have good grades. Well, that's how you spend your time. If everybody else is at Barnes and Nobles, you on the hoop. All right? And I'll end with this. I asked my son something. I said, Eddie, if I gave you $10 for every young black male you saw in the bookstore, and I gave you $1 for every young black male you saw in our community on the basketball court, which bet would you take? He said, I'd take the basketball. I said, you mean tell him I'm giving you $10 on one? He said, Dad, he said, you know what? If I took the $10 bet, I might get 20 out of it. He said, but if I drove around in my car and counted the brothers, and I'm not against basketball, Walt knows that. But Martin Luther King did not dribble his way to freedom. Harriet Tubman did not fast break. Well, she did, but it was a different kind of fast. Right? So he said, Dad, he said, I'll take the dollar. So we did one summer. We rode around in New Haven. And I'm telling you right now, we got tired of counting. You can't take a summer off for your black or brown child or poor white child. You can't take a summer off. You have to work twice as hard to go half as far. And so I'll end with a quote from Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah, who was the premier of Ghana. And by the way, if you know your history, you have armor. You have armor. If you don't, and then of course, if you know your theology, you have double armor. So you know your history and your thumb. You know that the little black baby said, I know I'm somebody because God don't make no junk. You know that. And then when somebody tells you that you come from a group of people that were not ignorant, I don't give the kings and queens thing, because when you have kings and queens, you have subjects. I don't want to be a subject. But I talk about people like Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, people who made a way out of nowhere. And I talk about the fact that we wouldn't have stoplights if it wasn't for Lewis Latimer and all that. So you know your history, then people can't do that. And then here's what I punctuated with. I said that at the very beginning, on this planet, the only people that walked the face of the earth were dark.
That's right. That's right.
That's true.
That's right.
And if those people hadn't survived, we wouldn't have all this diversity that we have right now. So I don't want to hear nothing. Now, if you want to believe in literally creation, well, clay is dark.
Right.
So either way, right now, you're not saying that to brag, but you're saying that to get people off you.
Right.
To let them know that you're not some stupid person that can play games. I told a guy in the gym once, I was a professor at Yale, he said, you gotta be kidding. I said, why? Because I'm strong too? You must, you gotta be kidding. Why? There are probably some professors at Yale that didn't think I was a professor. But that's another story. But Kwame Nkrumah said this: the educated man should be so sensitive to the conditions around him that he makes it his chief endeavor to improve those conditions for the good of all. Your education should not make you arrogant. It should not make you think you're better than somebody else. It should make you think that you have been blessed with gifts that you use to serve the world. And I really want you to do that, and I really appreciate the time you've given me. Thank you very much. Young men, grown men do cry, but it depends on what you're crying about. And I'm also not a wimp. It's just that I'm very emotional. And my emotion has driven me to be where I am now, so I embrace it. The next person I'm going to introduce is a person I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And by the way, he was a phenomenal athlete during his time. I believe, if I'm right, Dr. Cummings, you were playing when Oscar Robertson was playing in Cincinnati. I don't know if you were in college at that time. He was in high school. So Oscar Robertson is, I'm sure, one of your role models. But you played at Central State, and he was the man at Central State. Currently, he's engaged as the Dean and Tenured Professor in the College of Education at Texas Southern University, leading and teaching in the Department of Education Administration and Foundation. Now, you see how young he looks, but he's in his 47th year of professional service to the educational community with positive experience gained from Cleveland Public Schools, Dallas Independent School District, Texas Education Agency, that's where I met him, and the University of North Texas and Texas Southern University. He was the first student athlete in the first 100 years at Central State University to be enshrined in both the Athletic and Achievement Hall of Fame. In 2010-2011, Dr. Cummings was inducted to the Hall of Fame by the National Alliance of Black School Educators and proclaimed a living legend by the Houston Area Alliance of Black School Educators. I bring to you a great man and a man who has done a great deal with his life on behalf of his people and his country, Dr. Jay Cummings.
Jordan? Moses? Cousin Moses? He's a Cuban, be careful. So. Thank you for the invitation. And I do appreciate the recognition bestowed upon me by what's printed in the program. But I got to tell you, I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, from Kentucky. And the most exalted introduction I got was people in the neighborhood knew me as Maggie Cummings' grandson. That's the person who raised me. Okay, no father, mother there sometimes, grandmother there all the time. So I pay honor to her, and hopefully what we're going to do today will bring some additional sensitivity to this serious mission that we're on in trying to work with our youth and trying to make sure that they have the kinds of experiences that make a difference. I've been asked to talk a little bit about the connection between basketball and academics, and the fact that utilizing all of the tools that we have, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, are really what it takes to do some of the things that Dr. Joyner talked about. You got to be physically strong, but definitely you're going to hear from these gentlemen that are joining me about the mental aspects of not only the game of basketball, but the game of life. And so as we talk, I've been asked to say a few words about a gentleman that I came to respect greatly. I respected him initially because as a freshman coming out of Dayton Dunbar's high school and ended up playing basketball on the first team as a freshman at Central State, I really thought we had something that we could utilize to win games initially. And then we ran into John McClendon's Tennessee State. I'm about 6'3". I may have been 6'4" then, you know, you drop a little inch every time you get a little older. But I had never really seen the caliber of players that he had, nor had I seen the strategy and the system that he had developed. He measured across his front line in 1959. A 7'2" center, 6'8", we called him Beanpole. He had a 6'8" guard named Ben Worley out of Chicago. He had a forward that was 6'6", who ended up being one of the premier coaches. I'm going to get his name in a minute. But he had two guards. One was Rossi Shotgun Johnson, who was to take the place of Skull Barnett, Dick Barnett. Some of you remember him playing with the Knicks. And the other guy, the short guy on the team, was 6'4", and he was a Merriweather out of Evansville, Indiana, and he was an All-American. Now, having not seen a team like this, and not seen that much height in 1959, 6'5" was a big fella. Well, John's strategy was quite simple. They would out-rebound you, they would outrun you, and they would outperform you in terms of the points that they made because they made them so fast. And what they would do is they had one strategy. That's why I call him the icon of college basketball, because he set the stage for individuals. If you've ever seen the article that's been written about him, you know that he introduced some of the people that didn't think very much of black college basketball to his system through a game that he strategized to set up with some people from Duke. Those of you who have read that article might know what I'm talking about. But one Sunday morning in Durham, North Carolina, he invited some people over to North Carolina Central to play a game against his North Carolina Central team. And these were all guys who were in Duke's medical school. And they were noted basketball players. Some say they were better than the team at the time. And they had to do it undercover because interracial stuff was forbidden at the time. So they came over to the school, they played the game, and John employed his strategy on them, and they beat them 88-44. And that's when they understood that strategy plus execution can result in all kinds of benefits. And it also broke down the barriers, because at the end of the shellacking that the team from Duke got, they decided that they really wanted to play with these brothers who were so efficient and effective in executing the fast break. Now, those who play basketball know if you're not in great shape and the team out-rebounds you, and the first pass at the half court and the second pass at the layup, you're going to be real tired after that game. So that was what we ran into in Central State when we first met Johnny McClendon. He was a gentleman, too. He also was prideful, and he wanted people that played for him not only to be examples of the programming that they got on the basketball field, but also examples of a young man who would go out into life and do things. I'm thinking about John Barnhill, who was also one of the first guards sent into the league that got a chance to stay after Cleo Hill was pushed out of the St. Louis Hawks camp because they weren't ready for his style at all. He was a great player. John Barnhill and Ron Hamilton, who came to Cleveland to play with the Pipers when some of those fellows from Tennessee State had a chance to move into what was then the ABA. Long and short is that we're going to show you a small clip that some of you have seen called Black Magic. And Black Magic extols the values of the great players who played in black colleges before they got the open door to go into other places. And of course, many of you know, you've probably seen the movie Glory. And many of you know that one of the ways that we opened the doors to anything was to demonstrate our excellence in front of huge crowds. And that's when Texas Western beat Kentucky in the NCAA finals. And the coach at the time had enough gumption and enough strategy to start 5 brothers against the all-white all-white Kentucky team, and thus prevail in the NCAAs. And then everybody else who was coaching and wanted to keep their job said, I'm going to find me some brothers too. And that's what happened. That opened the door to us. But before we do that, I see a lot of people out here, I don't know if you know each other. So let me take 2 minutes, if you don't mind. Would you just, the gentlemen, please get up, ladies. Just get up and introduce yourself to somebody that you don't know. Don't take a long time. Tell them who you are, where you're from, and then sit back down and we'll finish with this panel. But until we know each other, it's going to be hard for us to enjoy talking with each other. If you don't know, you're talking about somebody you don't know.
Hey, young man. I'm Mr. Hyde.
Put together a great panel here that's going to talk to you about the connection between basketball and academic success, and even extended somewhat to all athletic endeavors, not just basketball, to talk about the nexus between the two. It's been said that if we could make the nexus clear to everybody, then everybody would understand that there's a tremendous amount of carryover in terms of the emotion, the mental aspects, and the physical aspects, as well as the spiritual aspects of the sport can be connected to academic pursuits as well, and enable individuals who have not really had an interest in academics to be more successful if we provide the kind of models that I see in this room today. We're here primarily to talk about mentorship. And each of us has had the opportunity in this room to be beneficiaries of mentorship. So we want you to think as you go through this process about giving up some time to work with the youngsters that we're privileged to serve. 1 hour a week is what we're asking for in terms of an initial commitment, and we'll get back to you later on that. But for the time being, I'd like to bring to the podium some of the individuals who represent the nexus between basketball and academic success. And I think I'll start off with Mr. Rodney Parker, and I'll ask them to briefly introduce themselves and then make their comments. And then we will get through the panel and we'll have some time for questions and answers. Mr. Parker.
Thank you. One thing I tell everybody wherever I go, wherever I speak, I said, if you meet somebody from Waterbury, you met somebody. And I think I got that from, I went to Slocum School, and when I went to Slocum School, it was 3 black teachers there, and one of them is here now. Miss Franks was one of the teachers. Dr. Franks, Dr. Franks, it was Harold Pettaway, and it was Dougie Dean. And being black, young, I had these 3 people to look up to. And the way school is different now, if you got a little bit out of hand, somebody might knock you upside the head. And then if you thought you were going to rear back, they said, boy, I know you don't want me to tell your people. So from there, and I wasn't a great student. I'm gonna tell you right off the, like young people say now, I'm gonna tell you right off the rip. I wasn't a great student. Not one iota. I struggled. I struggled to learn how to read. My mother sat down with me and taught me how to read.
We love her, Robin. We love her. Go ahead. Take the minute. Woo! Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, when I came home from school, I loved that round ball. And Ernie can tell you. Ernie Blue and myself, we know each other from here. And we love that round ball. When I came home, my mother had the desk in front of the window. I lived right across the street from the park. When I came to the house, what she did is, you know what you got for homework? If I didn't do my homework, and she had it set right in front of the window. So when everybody else is out there, I'm in the house. Everybody else is out there, they playing. 4 plus 4, 8 plus 8. I gotta read this history. Mom, I'm finished. Let me check it. And if it wasn't right, well, you missed something right here. I go back, and then I go outside and play. And I play, when I hear these guys play, say they play, I can play all day. My mother called me to eat. I would tell somebody, and Walt probably knows this, your mother called you to eat, take my place, I go in the house. Before the game's over, I would tell Walt, I got my spot back. But, I mean, that game taught me so much. The game of basketball was able to get me somewhere. But the thing is, who's going to be the user? Who's going to be the benefactor? Am I going to let the game use me, or am I going to use the game? If you are an athlete, I don't care if it's basketball, baseball, tiddlywinks, if somebody's going to offer you something, then you have to get something back from it. I see too many college athletes, high school athletes, and forget about college, let's just talk about Waterbury athletes. I done seen too many Waterbury athletes. It's guys walking around here, I'm 56 years old. There's guys walking around here now that were probably 10 times better than me. But they didn't go to school. If my mother hadn't did that, I would not be here. Nobody would be asking Rodney Parker to come talk. Nobody would have said to me one time, you know what? You're a pretty good black guy. You're a pretty good black guy. We're looking for somebody to run for the Board of Education. Would you consider it? Now, for you young guys up here wearing ties and stuff like that, wearing suits, some of these people had never talked to me, but they saw the way that I carried myself. And here was somebody who had coached me in high school, and they were saying, well, you know, we're looking for some black people to run. Do you know anybody? So when this person asked me to run for the Board of Education, you know, I felt kind of honored that he thought that much of me. But then I thought back, my mother put the time in. My mother and father put the time in because nobody wouldn't ask me. If I was just running around here like Dr. Joyner said, had my hat on, had my pants down, I could have been the smartest guy in the world. Nobody wouldn't have asked me that. I wouldn't have had that chance. I was able, after I left Crosby High School, and let me tell you something about really wanting to do something. My freshman and sophomore year, I got cut from the high school team. I got cut from the high school team. My senior year, I became a player. But I really wanted to do this. But in order for me to do this, my people my mother and father would not let me play anything unless my grades, unless I had the grades. And they didn't care if I got A's. They wanted me to get A's and B's, but they wanted me to do the best that I could do. And I tell my children now, you know what? If you got a D, and I know you did everything you could do, then I'm happy that you got a D, because I know you did what you were supposed to do. Because you did everything you could do, and you got that. You earned that, you worked and earned. I do not have a problem with that. But you know what? If you get a D, and I know you are a student, you know what? You got a big problem with me. You got a big problem with me. Why settle when we talk about young athletes or young men or whatever? Why settle for mediocrity? You know, why just be there? My father went to the 3rd grade down in Gates County. He went to the 3rd grade. My mother was one of the 3rd oldest. She had to go to work in Clarence Peanuts. She was a junior, but she had to go to work. and she made chocolate covered raisins. That was her job, working in Planters Peanuts. But the one thing they wanted to do that I think some of our younger generation forgets is, you know what, they believe that their children should be better than them. And they push them to be better than them. You know what? They told me I was going to school. No question about it. When my daughters, I have 4 daughters, when they were born, I told them right there, you're going to college. There's no ifs. You don't have no savings. Now, when you get there, if you don't like it, you went, you tried it, I would, you know, you grown, you can go on your own. But, I mean, my thing is, each one of you can do something. This ball can help you get there. It can help you get there. I mean, the hours that you practice, if you're an athlete, the hours that you practice, it's just, to me, it's just like studying. You know what? If I didn't know the plays, I wouldn't be in the game. If you playing football, and I don't care if you can catch, you're the fastest guy in the world. You know what? If the coach say, you know what, you gotta go over, you gotta run a slant, he gives you a playbook, and you cannot read the playbook, you know what? You will not be playing. My thing is education, education, education. Do not be scared of it. I think some of us make our young people scared of education. I'm scared to be somebody. How can you be scared to be somebody? You were put here to be somebody. You were put here to be somebody. You started by playing athletics. Now, the athletics should lead you to something else. And as I close, all my fellow CIAA people here, all HBCU people here, I'm gonna give one shout out for all HBCUs, and I'm gonna tell you what. If you decide to go to HBCU, you know what? You can go to, my brother graduated from Assumption. I had a sister graduated from UConn. But it's something about them HCU people. I can go anywhere in the world and I can say something, I'm from Norfolk State, and somebody will walk over and say, oh, I went to Elizabeth City, oh, I went to Central State, and we just got something. Dr. Sneed, when we were interviewing Dr. Sneed, and I'm gonna leave with this. And when I found out he was from Tuskegee, he had my vote. Automatically.
Okay, we all have a story, and we want to tell it, so I have to impose some time limits, and I hope you don't mind, but you'll have a chance to interact with these gentlemen and other speakers throughout the day. And just put us to the side. But his brother might have some rebuttals there, so I'm going to call up Daryl for him, so we can have this.
Good morning to everybody. I have a little saying or a motto that I think about every day. One of the things is that I used to think that good was enough until I learned that I could be great. And I think if everybody goes by that motto, then you're going to prosper in life and get better. Good is all right, but if you could be great, why not be great? And that's what we have to think about, that the people that came before us, like Martin Luther King and all of them, they wanted us to be great. And one of the ways to be great is to get an education. I grew up, as my brother said, in the same household, so I knew that education was important. My mother didn't go to college, my father definitely didn't go to college. I remember I had to read stuff for my father. My mother was more educated than my father. But it was no doubt that we were going to go to college, no doubt. I didn't have anything in my mind but to go to college. I played ball here at Sacred Heart High School, which is right across the street. Okay, I had an athletic scholarship there. At that time, they had athletic scholarships. I was a pretty good student. By the time I graduated from Sacred Heart, I had about an 85 average from Sacred Heart. I had colleges that wanted me to go to play ball, but also they looked at me because I had the education. I tell kids now, you can have all the skills in the world to do this, play basketball, catch a ball, whatever, but if you don't have the education, they're not going to take you. And that's what you have to realize. If you don't have both sides of the package, okay, if it's not in balance, they're not going to take you. Why? It's a business. It's a business. They're bringing you in because you have something to offer them. You're going to make their university or their college prosper because of your talents. But I'm not going to take that opportunity or give you the chance to play there if you cannot do the academics. That's a wasted scholarship. If you're there, if I'm recruiting and I see that you have all the talent but you're a C student, your friend might not be as good as you, but he's a B student, I'm thinking, I'm a coach. My job is to make him better or make my players better. I know that he's going to be there for 4 years. I don't have to worry about him academically. I can make him better. That's my job. I'm taking him. You got D's and F's. If I bring you there, you might fuck off the team. That's a wasted scholarship. Academics have to be part of the package. You have to understand that. As my brother said, I spent many hours playing basketball. You guys talking about playing basketball, you don't know about playing basketball because we used to shovel the snow off. I used to go out there in mittens and shoot baskets. You guys don't know nothing about that. But I also put the time in academically. My main thing is that my name is Parker, if it's on the back of my shirt or if people know me, I didn't want to disappoint my family.